Hi, so it's me, Charlotte Davis again from Joint Dynamics, and I'm back here at the Banyan Workspace. This time I'm going to go through some exercises that you could do at your desk or around your workspace to try and alleviate any of those aches and pains that you may have that go along with the tolls of a desk job. So the first one that I want to go through is an exercise for your neck. So we talked about in the first session about how people tend to go into this stoop neck position. They close down all of these joints at the back of the neck and they get really long through these muscles and soft tissues at the front of the neck. So the aim of this exercise is to try and reverse that. So we want to try and use these muscles deep within the neck. They're stabilizing muscles. So we want to try and actually recruit those muscles a little bit better and create that sort of double chin posture, unfortunately. Into this position, we're going to open all of the joints out at the back and use these muscles here. So there's many ways you can do this. To start off, I like to have people either lying down onto a mat, or if you're in the workspace, you can just come and pop your head against a pillar or a wall like this, and it just gives you a little bit of feedback. So nice and soft through the knees, okay, head and shoulders back against the wall. So what you may find here is that actually you're already in quite a sort of chin pointing position. And I am, because I do struggle a little bit with this exercise and I'm a bit stiff in my thoracic spine. So what you want to try and do is just slide the back of your head up the wall whilst keeping it in contact with the wall. So you're coming more into this position, go to where you can, and then you're going to hold. What you want to watch here is that you don't let this rib cage flare. So quite often what people will do is they'll come into this position and they'll do that to counteract. I haven't really changed anything here, but I've just put an awful lot more extension in my lower back. So try and keep your tummy a little bit tight, keep the lower back in contact with the wall, and you're just tucking in, and you're going to hold 2, 3, 4, 5, and then relax. And you can do that one, I would say maybe 5 to 10 times, depending on how you're feeling. Holding for 5 seconds each time, and then relax. If you haven't got the time to stand, what you can try is doing that in sitting, okay? And if you feel like you can get that posture quite easily without needing the feedback from the wall, you can do exactly the same sitting. So get yourself back into the chair, and you're gonna have a little go at just bringing yourself back, holding and relaxing. Holding and relaxing. Okay, so a nice stretch to do for your neck if you're feeling particularly tight through these upper trap muscles here. First of all, you want to correct the position so you're not in such a elongated position for those muscles, which causes them to feel quite sore and tight. So correct the position like we talked about, bringing those shoulders back, opening the chest up. And then you can have a little go at doing some neck stretches. So just gently bringing yourself over, so ear down to the same side shoulder, and holding. So what you're not doing is yanking down. You're not twisting from here. It's just a pure neck movement, and you're just going to where you feel a stretch, and you should feel a stretch down through here. If you feel any pain on the other side, or if you're getting any sort of shooting sensations down the arm, then you're going too far. And then you can do the same the other way. And I sometimes quite like to add in a little bit of rotation, so you're coming over to the side, and then you're going to rotate just towards the armpit and holding. And you can hold each position, so this first position plus the rotation, you can hold for 15 to 20 seconds again, and just do a couple at a time on each side. Okay, watch that you're not here. Okay, so keep those shoulders back into the neutral position, and then add the rotation, and it just targets a slightly different area. The second exercise that I'd like to go through is a little bit of opening out through the chest. So same position against the wall, and then what you can do is flatten the lower back, tuck that chin in a little bit, and then you're just going to open out with those arms, okay? So again, for me, I've got pretty rubbish external rotation there, so the first thing that I want to do is this. So I've really got to work quite hard at keeping my lower back flat so I don't cheat, and I'm rotating out. And if you have a full wall here, you should be aiming to touch the wall with your thumbs, okay? And then relax. And I tend to say to people, do that one 15 times, okay? You don't necessarily want to hold in that position for too long, because if you are stiff, it's quite hard work for those muscles at the back. But you're just moving in and out, like so. Okay, so the second one for opening out the chest, okay, is a pec stretch. So as we said in the first session, people will tend to come into that rounded position, and these muscles at the front here can get quite tight. If you're in that position day after day, they can stay tight if you don't stretch them out. So again, you're essentially trying to take yourself into the opposite. So you're trying to open up through that pec. So you can do that on a wall. I'll show you from the side and then I'll show you from the back. But what you want to do is just try and get your arm into the wall, like so. And then you can either just turn away and rotate this way, or you can step forwards. Now, if you have any shoulder problems, just be a little bit cautious with this one. If you get any pain in the top of the shoulder or the back of the shoulder, I wouldn't do it. Where you should feel it is just stretching down the front here. If you don't feel a stretch and you feel a pinch, I would leave that one, okay? Then from the back, I'll show you, so same position, arm into here, and then you can rotate away and hold, or you can step forwards, okay? And you can play about with the height of the arm, so you can come a little bit higher if you want a little bit more of a stretch down here, or you can come into neutral if you want a little bit more of a stretch right at the front there. And for both those stretches, I would say hold for about 15 to 20 seconds, and you can do it, 2 or 3 times in one go, and definitely do both at the same time, okay? If you have a doorway, then you can do both at the same time by putting your arm either side of the doorway and leaning into it. So you kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Another nice exercise just for opening out the chest, so you can do this one seated as well. It's just to get a little bit of external rotation at the shoulders. So, arms down by your side, and then all you're going to do is literally just turn your palms away from you. And you can see immediately at the shoulder, I'm getting that external rotation, which is going to open out the front of the chest there. If you look from the front, sitting, and all you're doing, just turning those palms away. And again, you don't necessarily need to hold it there for too long. It's just a mobility exercise, so just moving in and out of that movement. And you can do that while standing as well. So, a nice mobility exercise for your mid-back or your thoracic spine is some extension work. So when we're sitting at the computer or writing or typing, we tend to get that rounded thoracic spine there. So again, we want to move into the opposite movement to ensure that we don't get stiff. So a nice one to do whilst you're seated is just to extend over the back of the chair. Okay, keep an eye on your neck. What you're not doing is this all the way back. So you can put a little bit of support down through the back of the head, and you're just going to slowly extend. Okay, again, the aim of this is to target your mid-back, so you don't want to go into too much extension with the lower back or stick the ribs out too much. So you're just essentially levering over the back of that chair. Okay, and again, you could do maybe 10 to 15 times and then have a rest. Another nice one for your thoracic spine is some rotation. So we get most of our rotation from that part of the spine. So easily done sitting is just arm onto the side here, hand onto the knee, and you're just going to rotate. Now it depends how stiff you are as to how much movement you'll get, and you're not forcing anything, you're just taking it up to where you feel a little bit of resistance. The head and neck is going with you, so I'm not leaving myself sort of round here, it's just following my shoulders as I go. And then you'll do exactly the same for the other side, and you'll see actually I'm much worse coming this way. So for me, I need to work a little bit more into my right rotation. Okay. So you can do both ways, one after the other, or you can do 15 on one side and then 15 on the other side. And I would tend to say if you do have problems feeling stiff after you've been sat for a while, I would do some of those extension exercises and the rotation exercises even as much as every hour, or until you feel like actually it doesn't feel so stiff anymore when I stand up. Okay, so moving on to the lower back and the pelvis. So when you've been sitting for a long time, sometimes you can feel a little bit stiff when you get up. So a nice exercise to start mobilizing that lower back and pelvis is a pelvic tilt. So in this position in the chair, you can put your hands onto your hips, and all you're doing is you're just trying to rock that pelvis forwards into a sort of anteriorly tilted position, and then you're going to rock it all the way back. And again, forwards and all the way back. And you want to make sure that this movement is coming from the pelvis and it's not actually you just moving your shoulders back and forth, which surprisingly a lot of people do. So really try and have a feel. You can use a mirror, or sometimes it's easier to start off doing that one lying down, and you're just trying to create a little bit of an arch there, and then you're going to tuck that tailbone right back under. And again, you could do that one whilst you're sitting, you can do it whilst you're lying, or you could even do it whilst you're standing against the pillar, and you're just going to rock underneath, and then you're going to arch off. And again, you can see my shoulders are completely still, and all the movement is coming from the pelvis. Okay, and again, 10 to 15 times, and you could go through all of these mobility exercises every hour if you wanted to and if you've got time. But otherwise, I would suggest that try and do them at least twice a day. So perhaps in the morning, mid-morning, and then after lunchtime. If you've got time to do it in your lunch break, perfect. And if you're feeling particularly stiff after a particularly tough day at the office, then you can do them again at home as well. But it's something that you should try and do regularly to try and keep your body moving and to try and prevent any excessive joint stiffness and any excessive muscle tightness. Another stretch for the hips. So when we're in a seated position, we come into a lot of hip flexion. So if you're sat like that for long periods, day after day, you can start to get a little bit tight down through the hip flexors here. So what we want to try and do is actually come into a little bit of extension. So this might be one to do at home, or if you've got quite a lenient workplace, you could do it at work. So you can take a cushion, make sure something is under your knee, otherwise it will be uncomfortable. And you're just going to come into this position so one knee is down. So this leg is the one that I'm going to stretch. Have something to hold on to so you don't lose your balance. Think about that pelvic tilt position. So you're going to tuck your tailbone under. What you don't want to be is overarched. So tuck your tailbone under. And then if you're particularly tight, you might just want to start with a little bit of a lunge. Okay? So you can see I'm going into a nice bit of extension through the hip. Watch that you don't then counteract that by doing this, because it will just take it off a little bit. So shoulders up, tailbone under, and hold. From there, if you're a little bit more flexible, you can come back to neutral, and then you can try and lift the leg. So what most people will do here is as they lift, they will then go into anterior tilt of the pelvis, which takes the stretch off. So first of all, keep yourself there, hold it there, and then pull the heel up, okay? Keep your tummy nice and tight so you don't lose that pelvic tilt. And then from there, if you're super flexible, I'm not so, you can see my heel comes off as I lunge, okay? You can just lunge forwards and keep hold of that heel a little bit, okay? And then you would do the same on the other side. And again, holding those stretch positions for about 15 to 20 seconds each time. Okay. So I just want to highlight that all the advice I've given in these last two videos is all general advice. So try it out and hopefully it helps for you. If you do have a specific problem, if you are suffering from neck or back pain, shoulder pain, elbow pain, and it doesn't improve with some of these tips, it may be that actually you just need a full assessment and you need a personalised plan to follow rather than following some of this general advice. So do feel free to send me an email or contact Joint Dynamics, book in for a physiotherapy session, and we can try and get your aches and pains sorted. Thanks very much for having me, Banyan Workspace. It's been lovely to come, and what a lovely space it is.